this mic on. Boom.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sue Lightfoot Horine, Chair of Missouri Evergreen. Welcome to Midwest Genealogy Center.
That's what it's called.
It is, and with Mid-Continent Library. And we welcome the people on Zoom and everybody here in attendance in person. Welcome today. We do have a special meeting in order to make some very important changes in our executive director. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The announcement of Steve Potter. So Steve's official begin date is today, correct? So we welcome aboard Steve to lead Missouri Evergreen as Mickey departs us. And with that, I will give everybody a moment to talk or to think about what they would want to say to Mickey as he prepares to depart us, as I go get his present. Huh, yeah, imagine that. It's a big one.
Wow.
Wow. It is a big one. I'll let you just
Oh my
open it in
gosh,
there.
it's beautiful. Okay, may I open it?
Sure. Yes, please do. We need some music going on, people. No, well, we could do that. Probably need to flip it
My
around.
grandson opens presents.
Yeah, that's all right. We're good with it. You probably want to open it, maybe on the table. There you go. Yep. It yeah, you should be able to open it from that point there.
Okay, got it.
It should come apart on one of the edges.
Oh.
You know why it was so big.
It is a Missouri Evergreen clock. This guy's. It's really cool. Stand up and show everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Is this a unique item?
It
I don't think
is.
There's any others?
No,
anywhere.
there is not another one. It is inscribed. It says, "We thank you, Mickey, for your leadership, instrumental in the growth and stability of Missouri Evergreen." On to the next chapter.
Oh, thank you all so much. That was really good.
Well, I have a place of pride in my home. Thank you so much, everybody.
Well, that was one of the things that I saw on all of our Zoom meetings, that you did have a place on that back wall.
Yes, I do.
Anyway, I'm gonna sign in. Once again, I will remind our Zoom attendants to sign in as well. On the chat. We need to go this way with it. Okay. All right. So now we are at the open forum for our member questions. Questions, concerns?
You want to ask Steve if he has anything?
Oh, yeah. Would you like to say some words? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's a little awkward, I have to admit, because I'm always used to standing up and talking to people and facing people. But I have all these people behind me. So what I did is I set up the Zoom so I can see the people behind me. So that's you, Carrie Klein, that I'm concerned about. Yeah. So I'm really excited about being here and hopefully helping Missouri Evergreen take the next role or the next few years as you progress and look at other great new opportunities. I'm very excited about working with this group. I think you all know I've been very excited about working with you for decades. I mean, in all the time that I worked in the library industry, I've always been excited about being able to support libraries of all types and in all communities. And this just gave me another great opportunity to do that. So I'm excited to get started. I have already been sort of slowly getting started. Mickey and I've spent a lot of time, learning, and he's been very gracious in teaching me about things that I need to know. I've sat in on a few meetings. Some people have probably seen me in a couple of the meetings, and that's been really good in terms of getting used to what it is that I need to be getting used to. I think my biggest concern is that there is a lot of information. You all have created a lot of, a great organization with a lot of history and a lot of documents and a lot of procedures. Whether you realize it or not, you have in some cases, and just trying to figure out how to learn those things has been probably one of my biggest concerns. It's going to just take me a while to get ramped up, I guess I'm going to say. Between the fact that I've completely changed my pace of life over the last year compared to now. So I'm going to have to find that next gear, which I haven't had to use for about 11 months. So that's one piece. So please, a little bit of grace as I learn how to get back up to speed. And also up to speed with this particular organization. It's been a well-run organization. It's an exciting organization, and I can't wait to get started. One of the things that I do want to tell you about that I want to try, and it actually is one of the things that Mickey suggested to me, and I think that it was a good suggestion, is that I want to try to establish what we're calling office hours. So this first week, and not really meaning this week, but the first full week of June, I've still got a handful of doctor's appointments and things like that I just couldn't get moved. So I apologize about that. But once we get through June and into July, my intention is to essentially be at Missouri Evergreen's disposal 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. And so, I'll be working on emails, working on documents, working on procedures, plans, things like that, and at my desk. So if you want to establish a quick Zoom, if you want to find me and get me to, that's where I'll be focused on Evergreen. And then my idea is that, as I need to do other things in the afternoon or in the evening or weekends or whatever, I can plug those in, but I'm really focused on Evergreen that time period every day. And if I'm not going to be there, then I'll set up an out of office and you'll know that I'm not there, which is kind of what I'm shooting for. So a little bit of regularity with that, which I think could be beneficial to the organization. And then I'm still kind of working on this, but obviously I think the main thing, you all know Mickey's email address. We are transferring everything over to me. In fact, we've already pretty well done most of that. We're both sort of shadowing and watching all of that right now. And so when you send that email to director, I've been seeing them for the last 10 days or so. And eventually Mickey will stop seeing them. So, no need to find a new email address or anything like that. But I would suggest that if you were looking to contact me for something that's sort of more emergency related, I can share a text line with you, or certainly sending it to my personal email address, which I monitor that all the time, would be workable. And I'll send you all of that. I'm going to send that to the group as a message. So that way we don't have to be quoting it and you trying to figure out exactly what letters I'm saying and all of that. So I think that's all that I really have to say right now in terms of introduction. And I'm sort of, interested in hearing about you. And certainly one of the things that I'm going to be doing over the next several months as I get to talking with all the libraries is asking one standard question repeatedly, which is, what is your pain point right now? What is the thing that is causing you pain? And I want to know about it and see if there is a way that Missouri Evergreen can help. Sometimes there will not be a way that Missouri Evergreen can help, but there's no way I can know how to react to that or how to help you if I don't know. So always feel free to share and overshare what is bothering you because I can't help if I don't know what's bothering you. Sue, I think that's it for right now.
Okay. I know we had talked, Steve, about you doing a little tour of Missouri Evergreen Libraries and having like listening posts.
Right.
So I know Mickey has done that previously with Carrie Klein and all the Southwest Missouri group. And I know that it's very beneficial. So therefore, just having those listening points or having those discussions will be very, very beneficial for the member libraries and for the whole consortium. Because if we fix one thing, then it will affect most of member libraries. So that's our whole goal. So at this point, is there any questions for Steve from off of Zoom or from anybody in the in-person audience? Concerns? Something we want to hear? Hi, Steve Campbell.
I just wanted to thank Mickey for coming out of retirement to do this job as our first director. We were really someone I think good, start things out, and I really appreciate it.
Anybody else want to say anything else to Mickey? I know there was Mary Beth.
I just want to say, as a new member, Mickey was so fantastic in our migration, and we're still, still working stuff out. And the first thing he said to me today when he saw me was, what problems are you having? How's it going? And that's just how everybody has been at Missouri Evergreen. I really appreciate it, Mickey. I cannot imagine doing a migration without the support that you provided. So Steve has big shoes to fill. You're fantastic. And thank you for coming out of retirement to help Missouri Evergreen.
We love you, Mickey. No pressure, Steve.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger.
I think he wants to be a stranger for a little while.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Okay.
About attendees that are watching this.
Oh, nice.
So, thank you all.
Nice.
I just want to thank Mickey also and the whole Evergreen thing. When they first started talking about Evergreen, we were ready to, jump on board until there were few little glitches in the beginning, but everything is wonderful now. We just never quite sure who our next courier is going to be in the small rural areas. They like to bounce a little bit, but our patrons absolutely love Evergreen, and we wouldn't be able to offer any of the services without it. So your leadership has been great. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say something about Mickey, if I might. And so, as I mentioned, Mickey and I have been getting together for several weeks, and he's been sort of easing the transition, and that's been very, very positive. But one of the things that a lot of you may not know about me and Mickey is that we go back a long ways. In fact, Mickey was a student of mine when I was teaching library science classes. And so I've often felt that Mickey's been one of the more successful students of mine. And I think that really does bear out in the fact that now I am following him as he retires. And so he's been a great asset to the library community, and particularly with Missouri Evergreen. I mean, I can just see in the last 18 months, 2 years, that Missouri Evergreen has really, really solidified, and that it's due to your hard work, but it's also obviously due to Mickey. And so I'm very proud to have known him, very proud to have been one of his instructors, and yeah, huge shoes to fill. I'm nervous, please.
Well, Steve certainly doesn't need to be. I think one of the things that from anyone who's talked to me about the process of my retirement and finding a successor was, honestly, I really wanted someone who could come in and just keep this organization going the way it's going, and keep the direction that we've established jointly moving forward. And I just have so much confidence in Steve and so much affection and personal warmth for him as a person that I'm confident this is the right choice. And I hope you'll all put your trust and your confidence in him, and that you'll help him as well as he learns the ropes in the next several months. figures out what he needs to do and what he needs to focus on. It's an exciting time for Missouri Evergreen, and I think that the energy that we have from having a new executive director is going to do so much to help us move forward next year. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you for being here.
Right. Do you know if Shannon's on the call?
Let's see if Shannon's on the call.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a seance. Shannon, can you hear us? Are you here?
Yeah, that's true. Or, there's lots of things that prevent members from attending meetings, and we understand that. But, I know that she was, well, more than likely, if she's unable to attend, then she will probably send her personal regards to you, Mickey. So,
I have a question.
sure.
I just want to echo what everyone has said about Mickey, of course. He came at such an integral part, such a time in Missouri Evergreen, and I feel like you have really helped us establish what we are today, absolutely. But Steve, do you have like a triage plan of any type? Do you have something that you're going to focus on to begin with? Anything of particular interest in Missouri Evergreen that is on your mind?
Thanks. I mean, I think that's a good question in terms of, and it's certainly worth asking. I think one of the things that I was really interested in knowing and discovering is that, and I kind of alluded to it, that Missouri Evergreen has a very rich history, and you've done a lot of really good things. But in terms of, the first question that I asked Mickey when I accepted, and he and I were starting to talk about transition, was, can I look at the policy manual so that I can understand all the policies and sort of the establishment documents of Missouri Evergreen? And he said, we don't have it. And that's one that immediately, it's there in pieces. It's
You
there.
don't want to go piecemeal out? and find
It's,
all of the policies?
well, and I'm finding them, but it's there in pieces. But the idea of somebody the scenario I always like to talk about is the win the lottery or get hit by the bus scenario. So if that happens to your executive director, whoever that may be, is there an easy way that someone can just go to one place and know everything they need to know? And currently the answer is no. Although it's all there, it's just not all in one place. So that's certainly one project that I'm working on. And I'm kind of considering that sort of a mid-burner project, back burner, front burner, middle burner, sort of a middle burner project, something that can go on over time and sort of collect and put together. But that's one. The other one that Sue mentioned that, and in fact, that was, it was during my interview, I was talking with Sue about this, and the idea of doing a tour. And sometimes I think the tour and listening posts can be can be sort of combined with some of the training that's going on. So for example, I know that there's is it a catalog training that's going on, I think next week in Poplar Bluff. And I'm not going to be able to make that one, but I know that there's one coming up soon at Trails. And I'm intending on being at that one, and then also hopefully being able to hear, but also independent from that, going out into the state and visiting with you all and just finding out what's going on and learning more about your libraries. And that was one of those things that I felt was critical. And when I started the interview, Sue said that it was something I needed to do. And I said, that's fabulous, because I was trying to figure out how I was going to convince you that I needed to do this. But it feels like we're on the same page for that. So that's another one that I need to kind of get scheduled and figure out how to do it. But I want to come visit everybody, or at least be in your neck of the woods to make it easier for you to visit with me. And then just getting up to speed with the software. I really think learning a little bit more about the software is something that I'm interested in terms of just to know it, just to know it a little bit better. So those are sort of the projects that I'm looking at for the next few days, or next few months, I guess I should say. How does that feel? Does that?
That's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Speaking of projects, what do we already have in the hopper right now?
Well, we have a permissions project, which is very important, and we just had a recent update from Jennifer Weston at
Mhm.
Equinox about that. we have been struggling with trying to figure out, what we can do as member libraries and everything for some months. And part of the problem has been profusion and preferences and settings that have sort of accrued piecemeal over the years. So the project that Jennifer Weston is spearheading is this project to first identify what those permissions are in the sort of everything, and to make some quick fixes to fix some of the obviously weird and unusual and broken parts of those permissions so that they do what we think they should do. And then the second part is to restructure the admin functionality of those permissions so that, for example, and Terry at Neosho has sort of worked really hard on this. Why can't she, as a CERT manager, know exactly what things she can do and what her staff can do? It's a complicated question, believe it or not. I think those of you who have worked with that, with the rules, know that. So what we're going to try to do in our second step of this permissions project is to clarify those things, put them in some kind of logical order, and Jennifer has laid out a roadmap for us to do that. So that's an enormously important project that's going to be going on for the summer and will require all of your help and cooperation. So as we get into this permissions project, I think Missouri Evergreen as a tool will start to come into sharper focus for everybody. We'll be able to use it more effectively. That's a huge important project. I think the second important project that we have, as always, is bringing new members aboard and making sure that they have the support, the training, all that sort of stuff that's necessary to make them part of our resource sharing environment. St. Joseph just came aboard. We've got 2 more big libraries coming aboard. We have Jody Polk from Nevada that's coming aboard, and we're in conversation with several other library systems and catalogs and folks. And I mean, there's just so much stuff going on with Missouri Evergreen. We continue to grow. And what we need to do is focus on how we are going to support our existing members as well as our new members. Because we've given some of our, I hate to say short shrift, but I would say that once you're a member in Missouri Evergreen, we kind of expect you to do what you need to do and move along. I think you deserve more than this. I think you deserve a lot of attention, and the board certainly has taken a strong position on that and wants to provide more services, more support, more things that will make you feel like you're part of our. That's the 2 focuses I think we're going to have in the next several months.
Any questions? Any concerns? This might be the shortest meeting ever. And I'm all about short meetings, or at least hour meetings. So yeah, if it's over an hour, I'm thinking, okay, we should have discussed this beforehand. So we do have, Steve mentioned some cataloging trainings. Next week?
Mhm.
We are at Poplar Bluff.
Okay.
23rd, Spirit Trails. There's still spots available, guys.
CERT training. Do we have any CERT training? I'm looking for.
Is it August? Is our next training?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we did a little hiatus during summer reading for June and July.
Right.
So reports training. I know that Tony usually has this monthly, but he's a committee member of 1, correct?
Right now, yes.
Okay, so once again, I'm going to call out to our member libraries that if you've got somebody that understands reports and can help share their knowledge, please get a hold of Tony to be on that committee with him, because the committee of 1 just it's very burdensome for him to do his usual job and be on the reports committee. So I know there's a lot of other member library staff that does help out in that respect, but he really does need more people on his reports committee, because we funded the Simple Reporter, but I'm not seeing where we're having a lot of people actually use that Simple Reporter. And I think we need to have some more knowledge and share a little bit more about the features of that Simple Reporter. So
So is the Simple Reporter, is that a part of the reports
module in Missouri Evergreen? And is it under admin and reports? How do you find it?
On your launch screen.
Hmm?
It's on your launch
It's on the
screen. Yeah. On the right-hand side, reports, simple report.
But if you hit reports, you don't get to see simple reports. They're two different things, yeah. And we will always have access to the same old reports module that we've always had for more in-depth things. But the simple reporter is something everybody should be dipping their toes into a little bit.
So is there if there's a report in the reporter, is that exact same report available in simple reporter?
No.
Is it named different? Look different?
The simple reporter, you are building all of your stuff yourself. There's no templates. You are telling it, each different section what you want. You put your own filters, you put your own output, all of that. Once you build a report, it will be there. Yeah.
But you can't share it either, so keep that in mind.
Exactly. I think Liz, what she said was she can't share it, so she built it. And that is, I think, was in the structure of that. One thing that Jennifer is looking at right now, and I think some of you know this, Jennifer is building a suite of commonly used and important reports for our members that she's going to make widely available. So in other words, if you know that you need to have a certain suite of reports available for your board meetings every month, then you're just going to go run that suite of reports. So these suites are going to become available to our new members as they come aboard, St. Joe and Katie and Jody, but also will be available to members so that you can just have a package, a pre-configured suite for your library of reports that you most commonly use. Part of this project.
That is probably the best news ever. And then if they find a way to share templates from the simple
Yes.
reporter, that would be the next phase. So yeah, that's very, very helpful, especially when you're completing those public library surveys. And I know it's just very
The
helpful.
old report is not going anywhere. Those templates and those.
They're-
suites, whatever is
they're still there.
all there.
Still there. Yep. Any other projects that we have going on? I know I'm asking you off the top of your head.
Projects going on. I think that those two I mentioned are probably the most important. The third project I think that we will want to explore and think about is any additions we want to make to the catalog and to the whole environment that we work in. I think that some of you know that as an open source catalog, we have other open source tools available to us. One of them is an overlay, much like what's called Aspen, is the open source version of this. And I know that Shannon has been exploring that and is interested in that, and we'll be talking with members about whether or not we want to have some kind of overlay on our catalog. But there are some information management, some content management platforms as well, so that we can store information and find it easily, and not depend on our website, which is find exactly the information we want. So we're looking at those two things as a possibility as we explore making the whole evergreen environment much more useful.
Should we go to our partners? Is Kristen with Amigos not here? No. Is she online? Okay. Jane, do you have anything to add?
Sure, I've known Steve a while, not as long as I've known Nikki, but the library world is for me. I'm Jane, for those of you who have not met. I'm the ad director at MALA, as we call it, Mid-America Library Alliance. You also refer to us as the courier. So I don't have any direct contact, nor will I ever, or will MALA ever, with those individual courier drivers. It's a setup at the IRS, and they're all subcontractors. So the best thing, if you're having any kind of issues, no matter what it is, got a damaged book, driver's late, driver didn't come, driver didn't bring anything, the driver forgot to take the stuff. It's a myriad of things that happen, and every day we manage to get across the state every day. Just on our website, reported on there's a form, and there's a drop-down menu. So if you're going to be closed because you're getting new carpet, put that in there. We need to know that because we need to let the driver know. If you're going to open late, put it in there. Something immediate like that. We also want an email just in case we miss So, and then many of you knew Linda, and we were so sad when Linda moved back east in December, but we have a new Linda, Katrina. And pretty soon we'll stop calling her the new Linda, but it may take a while still. And Katrina is fantastic. Her learning curve was like, boom. So she's already only been here since March and really doing great. So those problems get handled on a daily basis between you and Katrina and Henry. And Henry, for the new people, is our contact services. They are statewide logistics handlers. And then each section of the state has a warehouse, and then they have individual contractors that are going out of that warehouse. So it's a multifaceted. But so on in various year we have they fixed themselves and got great, and now we're having another real problem warehouse in a different part of the state. So I think that's just kind of the nature of this business. I was a librarian for. And so this is new to me, this aspect of the logistics. I've only been in this side of it, not your side of it, for 2 years. So it's 2.5 years. Thinking retired and then you can do so. So yeah, so and if things seem like you're not getting progress, call me, email me, anything. I'm there all the time. We are a very tiny office, so it's Katrina and me and Marcy. And Marcy's who we pay the bills to, or she'll be the one who sends out that survey. And I want to say we've got 50% of our survey back. So if you're in that 50%, yay, thank you very much. If you're in the other side of the 50%, please do that. It's required by the state library for our grant. And most of your stops are funded by that grant. So we really need 100% participation. And we always get it. That last 5 come in very slowly. So we're trying to get that in. It would make Marcy's whole year if we got them all in by the deadline, which is June 15th. So yeah, so yeah, we're there to help. We also have another side of our organization that does professional development. So many of you are Mama Pro members, which allow you to have discounted rates to our webinars, but also see our older webinars on the Niche Academy platform. So for those of you that have already signed up for that, thank you. We hope you're finding it helpful. We also have a new person in that position who is really been there 2 weeks. So we took June off and we'll be starting again with new webinars starting in July. So her name is Kayla. And I'm Kayla and Katrina. So who have like those KAs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to call them wrong unintentionally. So if anybody has any questions.
One thing to back up what Jane said about reporting courier issues. If you can't remember their website, you can go to the Mo Evergreen Library's website, and we've got a link from our website to be able to report those issues.
Yes, you guys are so gracious to add that a year ago. Wonderful.
Oh, Ron. Thanks, Ron.
And I appreciate all of you. Everyone's usually very good at reporting their monthly statistics. Deadline. That also knows that the report that it's outgoing items. We will also make it on that. Wait till about the 10th to send that reminder because everyone gets busy.
All right. We're a quiet group this morning. Like I said, we should have had some background music going. All right. So I have I'm at other matters on our agenda. So is there anything else that we need to talk about? Patrick, you want to?
Can I just ask a question about?
You sure can.
handling the, you know, some places wanting to have restricted cards for kids. Is Evergreen able to handle that pretty well? And you guys satisfied with that? I know in our consortium, we've got a bunch of different sort of ways we're handling that. Depending on
Actually, our board decided when this rule came down that we would allow our member libraries locally to make those decisions about how to handle it. So they've been working with our vendor support unit, Equinox, to individually work through those expiry dates for minors and having them sign up. I think there's several people here who already have that process done. It's pretty seamless and invisible to you. as a member. Equinox takes care of everything in the background. And you set the expiry date, and you say how you want it to look when it comes back up, and what sort of notice you want to have in the record that talks about whether or not, this record has been updated or not. So we handle it on an individual basis, and that was the board's decision. Yes.
And I know that Evergreen can, or Equinox can expire the cards for us. Which is
Yes.
really helpful. Is there a way to do, we haven't found an easy way to do any type of restricted card. We're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to handle this.
I would talk to some of the large, any member library actually, who's maybe approached this. I think Kate, you can first talk to you about that, Jeffco, and see what sort of options are out there. Pretty much anything you want to do, we can do.
Yeah, we're trying to get like a card. I think we're gonna do a card where it's just like, this is a restricted card, the parent must be present, and none of it, the note that comes up. Is that something that?
Right, that's what we're
I
gonna
think
do
that'd
it
be
with
the
a
only way
note,
you could do it.
an alert note.
I think you'd have to have a patron card type with.
Yeah, it would have to be a
It has to be
permission
that
level
way,
type
I
thing.
think so.
And off the top of my head, it's gonna have to be permission thing and the wording on your own applications and that kind of thing will change. But
So could we create a card type that is restricted?
Sure. Think about the ramifications of this all as.
I just don't know how.
Oh, I don't want to.
I just don't know. That you can have- I just don't know that it's capable of knowing, like, if you, I don't know that it can go as detailed as saying, Bobby can't have YA
No,
shelving
absolutely
location.
not.
It can't go to
No.
So
that level.
what are you talking about?
I think it would be restricted, and then it's going to, like, it would flag it as restricted,
I
and
think it would be like
then it would be
blocked.
a staff issue at that
And you
point.
have to override.
Yeah, that's
But
what
if
I-
What
you
would the-
put an alert block on a card, and sorry, this might be in the minutia, then you can't place a hold. So,
that it's going with that permission type. And I think it would be different.
Electronic resources anyway.
we're just telling people you're screwed on electronic resources. You have to understand that we cannot, you either give your kid their card number or you don't.
That's not gonna comply with the rules, though, but yeah, if you're gonna ignore that part.
I mean, I'm not ignoring it, I'm telling the parents that we can't control the electronic resources.
Patrick, what kind of restrictions are you looking at? What kind of restrictions?
Basically, our card is just gonna be like, this card is a card in name only. You scan it in, it says you have to override to check out anything, and we're only gonna override if the parents present.
So
And
the
that'll
parent
be
has
the
to be
message.
present, is that the restriction?
Yeah. If so if you're not signing for an unrestricted card, then you have to be there to. sort
I
of-
think the way that we're leaning is
Yeah.
that a parent, a parent will have to sign, you have permission, my child has permission. If not, you have to check stuff out on your own.
Yeah, we want to say, of course, your kid can get a card, but you just have to be there, like it is your card. Every
I
time.
would think you could do a card with limited permissions where it forces overrides somehow.
Well,
But
yeah,
I
you
don't
have to
know.
make a card type that doesn't allow checkouts.
You would have
And
to have
it
some type of
requires
override.
But then you can't place a hold. Figure out.
No, they can't.
place a hold when we put
Unless
that
ever-
alert block on.
Unless Equinox can build that for
Then
you.
that's what I wonder.
That would
But
probably,
no, they probably wouldn't, and you probably wouldn't want them to, because if you're gonna say they can't check it. Well, I guess it depends on if you have self-checks or not, because if you have holds and self-checks, then
Then they can bypass the
Yeah.
whole rule. So I think you want it where you can.
We do a family card until they're
Yeah.
16.
Yes.
We just discourage them until they're 18.
But now are you doing it till they're 18? I mean, just, can we just say this?
I think we all are in agreement of that.
So are you just, are you just saying, hey, you're responsible?
Yes, we're saying,
You give them the card, they have access.
yeah.
Well, you could do that, or you could make a card type with a different number, and then tell your vendors that those don't have that much electronic system.
That's what we've done with with reciprocal borrowers. We've given them a whole different barcode scheme. But we're in the process of that, so that they can't do our electronic.
I know there's a lot of conversations going around, and I'm hearing a lot of different recourses that we're taking. So would anybody like to share their conversation with the whole group? So that way everybody has the benefit of knowing how you're handling this.
Steve and I were talking about whether or not, you know, there's your system, this is our system. It can also block, you know, the card that doesn't allow you to check out without staff override, will that also block you on a self-check machine?
Oh.
And then Evergreen it would not work.
Well, I was asking Kate a question, she was busy talking about it. But I was saying, I mean, if you're just gonna put, well, first I thought if you just put a message for staff saying, this parent needs to be with the kid, you know, just an alert message, basically. It's not gonna block anything, but then if you self-check.
Yeah, self-check, for us, that's not gonna work because of self-check. But I can see a car, if you want to give the child their own physical card, which I get. It could be a very permission limited, where no matter what, everything would have to essentially be overwritten to be checked out. And I do believe that would work on the OPAC side. But holds, you would have to have a staff member help with holds. I mean,
We couldn't place a hold as a staff member once we put an alert, a block alert. on the
yeah,
phone.
and I'm just speaking from what I know.
Oh, let's think of it.
So I don't know specifically if that's something that Equinox could address. They could make it to where a staff could override it or not.
There's permissions that allow for override.
Okay.
Because my staff. But it's certain.
So a permission that can override a different permission?
What alert block do you use?
Well, an alert block is different than a permission level block. So
Okay.
that would be,
that's where
maybe that's,
Well, and as more and more of this happens in other states, Equinox will probably have to address this at some point.
well, I think Equinox has been very responsive to what we need.
But as I mean, more
Do you wanna make
standardizing it as an
decisions?
option.
As a consortium or as individual libraries. Right now, we're accepting that individual libraries can decide how they want to handle it. I do believe at some point there should be some discussion in the consortium.
I think from hearing this discussion, we're getting to the point where we as a consortium have to make some of those decisions, but we need a consensus from libraries of what's going to work.
So with everybody having their own server autonomy, that's gonna be maybe a little difficult.
When works out.
I remember some of the early meetings we went to, I think when we first formed,
Yeah.
that was a big deal, is that autonomy, but then as we talk to bigger consortiums statewide, the bigger you get, the more of a problem it becomes.
And with this problem specifically, there's some of us that are doing the absolute bare minimum that we have to do, as opposed to other libraries who are going all out. And they're, going deep.
But I wonder if Equinox has had this with other libraries, that maybe there are some things we just don't know about. If they have some parameters of permission groups and things.
On a case-by-case basis, yeah, I bet all of you don't know what other libraries.
Yes,
are asking
exactly.
for.
So
Yeah,
other
you're
libraries
right.
in other states may have already come up with
Yeah.
some unique features to go around things.
So, yeah. Bye, Mickey. How was Steve? I know this is a very concerning
Oh, yeah.
challenge for a consortium. And I do, and maybe we need to come up with a task force and we need to address it in that way. Maybe, have directors from every size library that do have different circulation policies come together and have the discussion and then bring something back to the board to talk about. I mean, let procedures work for us.
But even with all of our different circulation policies, we're still looking at restricting based on age.
Right.
So I think the question is, how do we restrict? I think it's going to be easier without us. We've already lost our autonomy. Thank you, Secretary Ashcroft. But in this issue we have, so I really think it's going to be a little easier for us all to swallow. Like I said, it's varying degrees of how deep we want to go, because we've all seen on the listserv, like Kate says, some are doing the bare minimum, and some are like, I want every base covered 2 and 3 deep. mean, would just a simple poll, before we even get to a task force
Right, yeah.
point, would a simple poll work?
Yeah.
Just to say, what do you want from this?
Mhm.
How deep do you want it to go?
Will Equinox, Mickey and Steve, will Equinox agree to do something en masse like that? I
My
mean,
only, sorry to interrupt. My only concern with that would be, we're doing something a little bit different. And if we have something like that in Evergreen that they could, that the secretaries they can point to and say, you have the option to do this very restrictive thing. They created it for you, why aren't you using it? That would put us in a bit of a bind. So I'm almost afraid to have that as an
Good
option, because then if I choose not to take that option, then that puts that library in a awkward position. So, everybody help me. We're using the concept of implied permission. So we are not, we've always had them sign for 13 and under. For 14 to, I guess, 17 or 18. We're saying that if you are there and you allow them to get a card, you are giving your implied permission. And if you're allowing them to come into the library on their own, then you're giving your implied permission. So they don't sign anything. It's just, I think I looked up the term, but yeah, I think it's implied permission. So.
This is the reason we chose a case-by-case basis approach.
Right.
Right.
As
And
Ron
we're-
assumed, essentially, we may be moving towards a place where we need to have a larger discussion.
And we are across the street from a high school. So that's, we have a lot of teenagers come in with other parents, so, but also I'm not in a terribly conservative area, so my board is not as worried as some boards might be, so that's the concept we're going with, which is pretty loose.
So do you have any kind of signage explaining the concept of implied permission?
It's gonna be a policy. We never had a library card policy before, we just had our procedure. So I'm gonna create a policy and have the board vote on it. And I'm just gonna put it on the website and that's publicly accessible.
Steve, how are you handling electronic content?
I mean, there's some, parent has, we're expiring all our cards, minors cards. Parents just sign a form, and on that form it says, I need permission to have my child access everything, including electronic resources, anything. And so if they sign the card, they don't pay, get a card. If you all are not that way.
Well, and
But
I
I think
think
you gotta
that's what,
change that
and I
because-
think that's what we're doing. Otherwise, we're saying your child, you have to be here with your kid.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
either,
Our staff's gonna check out. I can't speak for you. If I gave all these different restrictions and things to unblock, your staff's gonna, it's gonna be a pain in their ass, to be honest with you.
right.
And so they say a parent will have a card, they don't want them to have access to certain things in our library. You screw them, they don't have a card there.
Schools are set up for opt-out situations, so I think we need to be prepared for that too. Schools are set up, when you do
Yeah.
e-cards, they need to reply that they don't want to do
Right.
it. And I think we have to make sure that now they have to sign that they do want to do it. That has to be reversed.
All I want to say is, and I've been saying this the whole time, I know I'm minority on
They
this, is
don't
that
know.
I just want to remind everyone, this is an election year for him, and I don't want one of us getting nailed and being gets poster child this summer for pornography and library because your library decides that you want to take the loosey route on this and not worry about it too much, and then have you poster child for pornography in the library this summer for his campaign. I wouldn't want that to happen, because he specifically told me on the phone that when I said to him about, well, what if we just do this moving forward, and signature, but he's like, that's not compliant with my rule. I mean, he just told me right to my face, so, I mean, I don't want to give him ammunition. He's already done plenty enough damage already.
We did the all or nothing. And our patrons have done it for 2 weeks, and our patrons, which I worry more about them, coming in with their 5 little babies in their buckets, and they've been so lovely and understanding. Smith is from, and so everybody's been very upset from the get-go about all this, but the parents have been lovely. It's my staff that's really been resistant. Had 2 threaten to quit, especially with summer reading starting this week. In my mind, in another month, it's all gonna be like like it's been there forever.
And I would say when they complain, say this is a new rule through the Secretary of
That's
State's
right, that's
office.
exactly what
And that's
I'm
not going to help
saying.
this campaign with some people.
Exactly, that's
Well,
what.
no
my
one's
staff
been
is
mad at
telling
us.
me.
We'll be happy to
And
see that.
Julie, are you doing all or nothing?
Yes,
And
it was a
how
time,
many are doing nothing
nobody.
in Carthage? Nobody?
You mean, who was refused to sign the form?
No, who is saying my kid can't have a card?
Nobody.
Okay, so that's good to hear
It
that.
was, and
I
it was
haven't had
time,
anybody.
we've been using those old fashioned library application cards for 100 years. And it was time for us to move from that, and I have the world's best cataloger, they're watching. Darcy and Mike, Vicky knows Darcy and Mike. And so they took it upon themselves, we redid the whole application process, it's all gonna be digitized. And it's a good process we've got in place to get the staff to quit belly aching about it and just move
I mean,
on, you
it's
know?
gonna take a minute for someone to sign a piece of paper, and I actually think it's kind of almost a good thing, because frankly, we're weeding out all the people who are having issues with their kids being in the library, looking at it, or stuff, or all stuff you have to don't like. I mean, we're gonna basically eliminate probably all of our challenges from parents at least, because if they're unhappy with it, their kids will use the library. Right. That's unfortunate for the kid, but I mean, frankly, it's gonna make our life a lot easier moving forward, because they're not shooting out their kid out right there, right now, you know.
Well, Carrie, you guys are doing, you did the same thing as we did.
Yep.
And you didn't have any trouble.
Okay, go take my job.
Right?
No, not one person's been mad at us. They were like, we've been forced to do this, Secretary of State, and they're like, oh, that seems unfair. We're like, I know, sign this. And so either if your kid, if you want your child to continue to have a card or have a card, they get full run of everything. If not, we're taking the cards back or we're not going to issue one. And I haven't had anybody refuse to get, so that's self-checkouts taken care of, e-resources are taken care of. Easy peasy, not one person's mad at us. They've signed it, it's been great, we haven't had any issues at all.
I don't know how anyone, I know people are talking about doing it with self-check and electronic resources. I don't know how anyone is trying to have well, we'll give you half access, but not complete access.
That's crazy.
How anyone goes to a self-check machine, the kid can't record and use it.
There's this thing called the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, does your kid-
Yeah, everybody see everything. so-
Does your kid have access
How
to
are
a
we
cell
gonna
phone? Yeah.
get access, electronic access in an equal way whatsoever?
It's impossible.
Well, with the MoLib to go interacts with Evergreen through the SIP interface and barcode ranges. Are we to the point where we need to, like Steve, you need to create a new barcode range just for your kids and they don't? I'm just saying, is that a possibility that we have a barcode range restricted for juveniles?
We have to pull every card back. I have to get every card back. I issue a new card, I don't know what that would cost, issue a new card. I have 3,000 binders.
What
We have to issue 3,000 new cards. That means.
Right.
I'm thinking from my perspective, it would just be changing the number because we don't do physical cards. Yeah, but
A lot of
is
options
that,
out there.
I mean, if we have a restricted, a barcode range for juveniles that we don't give to MoLib to go, the kid's going to try to put their card number in, the SIP interface is not going to recognize it, they have no access.
Not gonna work for self-check too.
Probably not. I didn't say it was a perfect solution, I just said it was partial.
It's not anything perfect here. In terms of.
SIP can query age as well, birthdays, if you set it up right. I mean, that would take some development.
If you can get staff members to put birthdays in.
Yes.
Especially in library. Before,
Yeah.
it's taken me years to get to that point.
Yeah, if you put birthdates in, that it can work like a charm.
That's Steve's job.
All right, so what I'm hearing from the group is that we should probably do a poll, ask about restricted cards, and see how much we need to involve Equinox, our vendor partner, in our discussions going forward. Anything else? Right. Let's see. Important, next meeting is Thursday, June 8th. It's a Zoom meeting. We'll be voting for the new slate of officers and the board. And that will be Steve's first meeting with us, or second meeting with us.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that we need to do? Can I get a motion to close our meeting?
Oh, I'd love to.
Thank you, Carrie Klein. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Eva does.
Thank you, Eva. Motion has been made and seconded, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You said the 5-minute thing.
So I'm going to go to North. Here's how it's cheap, choice.
Jeff's over there.